Scarborough Center, ISKCON Scarborough. Her name is Mother Dwarka. She's doing a splendid job. And she had some physical complication the other day. She's in the hospital on support system, and some surgery is going to happen on her. It just came very suddenly, and you know how these things are. The physical body has its challenges, and so we'd like to dedicate this, at least this talk and the kirtan in your honor. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything we can do about the echo? It's a little bit too echoey, isn't it? See if I can fix it. Hare Krishna. Okay, great. Thank you. Are you want to Garland? No problem. Thank you. Can you pardon? I hope that's not I think what I'll do, I'll just come a little closer to you all. Hare Krishna. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktimarga Swami Nidhane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskatayishtarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Oh, we're going to do it
one
again.
more time.
So rerun.
One more.
Okay, so what time are you getting this to go till?
Don't worry about Maharaj'S.
Okay, well, just, I know other people have asked to chant. Okay, so Om Jnanam Tamarandasya Jnanam Shalakaya Chakshuramitanina Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance unto him. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This month is the month of Dhamodra, also known as the month of Kartik, and we are remembering Krishna as a young child who got into some mischief. In the Bhagavad Gita, this is the divine book, we hear about Krishna having different names. There's Madhava, that's definitely there. There's Janardhan, there's Govinda, there's Kishor, but there's no mention of Damodar. So that's why I'm going to highlight that right now. Very cool. Okay, I've got a little poetry book. I'm going to pull it out and recite some poetry. This one poem is to do with the pastime of Krishna as the button thief, Krishna as the one who gets chased by his mother. We're going to fix this. We're going to fix it all up. The reverb is gone. Hey, the reverb's gone. Woo! Let's celebrate. Okay, great. So we just want to share this with you, and we're calling this The Charming Boy. You know who I'm talking about, right? It's not Elish. You gotta laugh. Come on! No, it's Charm Boy. Okay, although you are charming. Okay, here we are. Please listen with attention. He is both menacing and adorable. His sweet innocence reveals he's not deplorable. Babyhood charm is written all over his face, and wherever he is, he transforms that very space. That space is on earth and beyond the skies too. His parents impose upon him a decent curfew. Yet he sneaks away at night under the moon, after plotting a rally of monkeys and friends by noon. The plot is to scout the neighbors' homes and swarm their butterstock like bees to honeycombs. There is success in the break and enter. He is definitely left, right, and center. He then gets caught red-handed by his mother, for his hands are moistened by thick, smooth butter. His mother decides he must learn a good lesson. She grabs a stick and starts a chasing session. But he's fast on his feet. With speed he goes, she runs, and due to fatigue, she slows. Tossing out the stick, she manages to stop him. From here on, it may appear to look grim. But not so. She secures a rope to bind the boy. For both persons, there's a mix of fear and joy. Mystically, the rope of lesson and love cannot tie him, frustrating her thereof. So he surrenders to her will of good intent, convinced that her love is 100%. He allows her to fasten him to a mortar in the yard. For her, it is not easy. In fact, it is hard. In her absence, he proceeds to pull rope and mortar. With ease, he pulls down 2 trees in that back quarter. And from that fall appears 2 beautiful men. Bedazzled they are for what happened to them. They had been cursed by a well-known sage for partying shamelessly, lowering guard and gauge. They now honestly feel a kind of liberation and credit the boy for such a relieving sensation. They were existing as trees for far too long and now regained their original forms so strong. There is a side to the boy that leaves us in wonder. Frivolous yet helpful, we are left to ponder. Who actually is this child with all this power, with skin blue, and whose mother makes him cower? For many admirers and scholars, he is a great subduer of miscreants, scoundrels, and a host of wrongdoers. He goes by different names: Makanchur, Dhamodra, Mukunda, Krishna. If you call on any of these names, you'll feel he's warm and his endless charm. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki. And that's about Dhamodra. Okay? Would you like another poem? Okay, I'm going to flip over to something that's slightly on the secular side, but it's about appreciation. And whatever we see, inside or outside, that we appreciate, we should somehow or other connect it with Krishna. It's really important. Where do I put this thing? Sorry, I don't have an index yet. It's coming, just now coming, somewhere. Okay, so this one particular poem is called Trees. And when you were all driving up here to get to this wonderful spot in Stouville, isn't that what you noticed? Trees. Am I right about that?
Yes.
There. I'll find it. All right. And what colors did you see out there? You can blurt it out. Orange,
Yellow, red.
yellow, red, even green.
Saffron.
Saffron, okay. Here we are, trees. What hugs the soil and keeps it in place, teaches tolerance, especially at the base, provides us company when down and lonely, is a true member of the earthly family. Answer? Trees, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Trees.
Okay, please. Okay. What cuts the wind when all is tossed in the air, which resembles a turbulent mind enough to scare. What emits a sweet scent at dusk and at dawn, and a sap flow at winter's end when spring is on.
Trees.
Trees. You got it now. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Trees.
All right. What gives warmth in cold and coolness in heat? And what eats and drinks by their very own feet? Gives shelter with shade at a blazing sun's prime. What will never let you down in the very worst time?
Trees.
What stretches up to touch a gorgeous sky? And what is home for species that fly? Yeah. What provides restfulness and a place of refuge for feathered and furry friends during a deluge?
Trees.
What dances in breezes in awesome rhythm, makes music of creaks, moans, and pizzerism? What can cause a surge of adrenaline, conserve fire and hydrogen and oxygen?
Trees.
I can tell you what saved my life multiple times. Their arms reached out to mine on a steep climb. More than once, I took to a slippery slope when there seemed to be so very little hope.
Trees.
Thank you. What are the soft hairs jutting out of the universe, yielding healing powers like nature's nurse? What requires our stewardship and service? A chance for their well-deserved catharsis.
Trees.
Some are alive, some are dead, some are green, some are red. Some bear fruit, some bear nuts, most have wood for their very own guts. Some have needles, some have leaves. Know it for certain, they're here to please. Trees. Haribol. Thank you. And I'll do one other one, which is based on the story from the Bhagavatam. And I read this to a group of people, a whole fresh audience in Sault Ste. Marie at a banquet hall. And you were there? Monte was there. Okay. So we're just doing something a little different here. See if I can find it here. Sorry. We'll get it together one time. Somewhere down the road. Oh, I'll do one. Here's one. 2 more if you don't mind. And this is called Dear Mind. So dear mind, some days you are a friend. Some days you are a foe. You swing moods up, you swing them low. I can't always trust you're not in one place. You respond well to lust, big dose or a trace. You lead me to greed. It's not what I want. You convince it's a need. In truth, it's a taunt. When there is anger pent up inside, you then do hanker to push it outside. I don't know why you are so cruel, cunning and sly, and wanting to rule. You're some kind of clown, silly and joking, a laugh or a frown, nabbing and poking. Yet you are subtle, silent, and swift, keen to befuddle on your full-time shift. You are your worst when the body is idle. Every bubble you burst, you reach to retain your title. But my dear mind, I'm not your slave. I'll reverse the role, get you to behave, and be under control. It's my turn to reign. So settle down, sit. Magic is in the name. It's the perfect fit. Now just cooperate and take out your sting. Let us then celebrate with mantra we sing. Sincerely, former foe. Hare Krishna. Yeah, go ahead. I do have one about gossip. Here I go. I just can't. Once you get started, it's hard. I was given an hour, but I'm definitely going to cut it short. Okay, so denouncing gossip. And the title's Loose Tongue Monster. Any monsters around here? Anybody? Anybody guilty of that favorite pastime? Okay. After you read this, you won't consider yourself such a nice guy. Gossip is the cowardly, unofficial occupation of a jerk. Volunteers are either on part or full-time work. Call it a toxic tongue, a plague worse than a pandemic, a dirty and dark behind-the-back dynamic, a casual chat where the truth is not confirmed, a devil's radio whose broadcast can't be reversed. Gossipy people have nothing of substance to say. Fabrications from their mouth are always on display. It's a syndrome, a condition of verbal diarrhea. They are rumor addicts like alcoholics on tequila. Do take note that those who gossip to you will inevitably and eventually gossip about you. And those who know so little about you suddenly become authority, having all the goods on you. Perhaps the greatest human offender is the gossiper, though feeling their contribution has the status of a philosopher. Little do they know that gossip, a lethal weapon, will act karmically as if to beckon, like a boomerang that's suddenly released and comes back to haunt and strike like a beast. Hare Krishna. One more. So stay away from this backstabbing game. Stay away from fault finders who bear no shame. Stay away from loose-tongued monsters of derision and hold hands with folks who have some vision. A superior investment to being critical is to point out the good in an individual. Don't let that big, fat mouth try to obstruct two good listening ears poised to reconstruct. Any hope for a rumor monger perhaps is our deep prayer, a call for a miracle, compassion, and help on a major repair. Hare Krishna. And the last one I would like to share with you is something that's derived from the Bhagavatam. One of the great blessings of Srila Prabhupada is that he gave us so many books. Books are the basis. That's a poem I wrote also. One on Bhishma, one on prayers for the Ukraine, the best avatar, and here it is, the prostitute. Okay. What do monks have with prostitutes or swamis? Nothing. All right. But here you go, the prostitute. In the city of Videha lived a very beautiful woman whose profession involved a regular change of linen. For almost every day there was a new man. No long-term relationships ever began. Attention to makeup, hairstyle, attractive dress were all externals that spelled much success. Her routine was to stand in front of her home. From there, she could see every male on the roam. This was the method that earned her costly keep. Opinions on her lifestyle ranged from respect to cheap. It was a practice so intrinsic in her life, so men saw her as lover and not as wife. An unusual and extraordinary day had come that frankly bewildered this society lady some. She stood waiting in her suggestive pose, but takers were nil, causing a yawn and a doze. Time passed by, minute to minute, hour to hour, and not a single client arrived at her ivory tower. It was astonishing because business was good. Was there some message here to be understood? What if finances were to gradually come to a halt due to eventual aging or any other natural fault? What if the career was to suddenly come to an end? Would I ever have a real endearing, steady friend? It was a chilling and frightening thought. Again, was there a lesson here to be taught? Deeper and deeper, she fell into contemplation, up to the point where it became revelation. Her occupation had limits with pleasures of the flesh. Mundane relationships are often a terrible mess. The luster of customer comfort was starting The luster of customer comfort was starting to wane. She pondered leaving her job and not visiting it again. Some people had succeeded in finding full delight in the form of God, the Supreme Male, actual Mr. Right. It became apparent that such love is of a different nature. Decision made. She became an even more beautiful creature. Hare Krishna. Jai. Jai. So I oftentimes have insomnia problems. I don't get very good sleep at night, so this is how I spend some of the time, just writing poems based on what we've, read, learned, and rolled out in the form of a drama or something like that. And so we get great. And COVID was a great time because you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, so just take a pen. And I do use pens and papers. Remember those ancient techniques, And we just put the pen to the paper and roll something out, and with rhythm. So if Ajamil would like to sing some of these songs, and we can put a chorus to it, that would make it, maybe some of them will become popular, and it'll take hold in society. So this is one way to tell stories. Keep them brief, keep them short. In our Shastras, there's long, there's many, many verses, many chapters devoted to like one story, and then there's lots of wonderful purports in there, and it takes a while, but we figure, not to replace what is there in the Shastra, but one way to get the message out there, keep it short, to the point, and to some kind of rhythm and rhyme that people can remember. So I hope you enjoyed this little presentation. It's not a talk, but hopefully it was a little motivational. And with the first poem on Charm Boy, we'll now kind of like just turn directions, and we have a picture here of Dhamodra, that is Lord Krishna, who's right next to his mother. She was trying to bind him with a rope of love, and ropes are a big thing in our movement, Like every year we have Rath Yatra, and there's a rope that we use to pull chariots down the street. And so this rope was used to show her love for Krishna. Of course, if you look at the details, she might be considered a child abuser by modern day standards. It's possible. Everyone's so super sensitive, people are so sensitive that you offend. I get offended by people being so sensitive, so I feel like getting abused all the time. But it's the age of abuse. But anyways, the motivation behind Yashoda was to do some chastising, some chiding, but it was done purely out of love, and that's usually what parents do when they chastise. They raise their voice, or they shake their finger, and maybe show a stick, but they never use it, right? So it's a beautiful pastime. And I'll tell you one quick story. When I did my last major walk, it was across the US, and I came to Juniata College. It's a place called Huntingdon in Pennsylvania. And I got invited. Some people have found out that I was walking in the area. I was invited to speak to the college, and they had actually a comparative religions course for students. So I did my presentation, we did kirtan, it was wonderful, they really participated. And then at the end of the program, they said, we love what you're doing, we want to go for a walk with you. So they took me down a field and up to sort of like a sacred mound that they honor over there. And then as we were walking, one girl who had blue hair, she said, listen, Swami, we've been hearing everything about all the different religions of the world. We've been hearing about Christianity and the kind of God he is there. We heard about the Jewish God, we heard about the Islamic God, and then we heard about what Buddhists believe in, which oftentimes is not God whatsoever. So we went through everybody, went through native spiritualism, and at the end we went to the Hindu section, and we were hearing about this story of their God. And what does their God do? He goes to the river, and he's just a young boy at this time. And at the river, he goes to the section where only the girls swim, right? So the girls were swimming in the Yamuna. She was talking about the river Yamuna. And this, the Hindu god, Krishna, actually, said, okay, girls, I've got your clothes. If you want them, you have to come out, and I'll give them to you one by one. You all know the pastime, right? That. So when the students heard this, they go, you know, they heard kind of like a sort of a playboy young boy is doing these pranks, you know, and she said that their jaws dropped and said, well, what did they think about Krishna, you know, as the God, you know? And she said, oh, that was such a relief, you know. We loved him, he's such a charmer. We were hearing about God being vindictive, being angry, sending out thunderbolts, and you know, just everyone living in fear, a fearful God. But then we heard about Krishna and said, he's kind of a cool dude. Hare Krishna, thank you so much. But you know, I just want to say, Prabhupada explains Krishna's antics in the books, in the like Krishna books, so nicely that you see him from another side, from a very transcendental point of view. And he was just basically a kid when he did these things. He was just being, you know, a little bit naughty, you know. And it's okay. That's why we love him so much, right? Now we get a chance to show our, you know, our affection to him and our reciprocal love by offering the diyas. Are we ready to rock and roll here, Prabhu?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, do you have a system down, or is it every man and every woman for themselves?
Yeah.
It is a little bit like that, everyone for themselves. Okay. I may suggest a kind of a line-up. So we do that?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll do the Dhamodra Arati, and as Maharaj suggests, we'll just line up and light to the diya.
Okay, and is somebody singing at the same time?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, Netra and Vaishnavi.
Okay. All right, so you can come and sing here, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, we'll